Welcome to the JAWN podcast. I'm your host, Shalia.
And your host Janina.
And today, y'all, we got our girl CoCo back with us
Okay.
today. Say hey to the people.
Hello, hello.
So, today's affirmation says, never be ashamed about how many times you've fallen. Be proud of how many times you got up. Um, and the word of the week for this week is intercession. And I chose this word because, as you guys will see, as we get to our topic, it relates to this week's topic. Um, so, intercession is the action of intervening on behalf of another. Intercession is speaking to God on behalf of another person, people, group, situation, church, or community. And it's basically a sacrifice of our time and life's focus to pretty much be there for someone else. So, word of the week, intercession.
Love it.
So, what's up with y'all? How y'all doing? Y'all good? Not good? What's going on?
I feel like I was a little better earlier today, but I just hate like when you try to plan out, like give yourself time to do something and then other people running behind. I just like
I
I'm
hear
adjusting
you.
with Ava at this new school, and I see the huge difference of her like other school, and it's like the lack of communication and the disorganization is just like blowing me.
Mm.
Like they're having an event tomorrow for parents. Now, if I didn't go up there and see the flyer, I wouldn't know nothing about it. And then Ava said they gave her the paper today. Why would you give somebody a paper today for an event tomorrow?
Mm-mm.
And then
Yeah.
yesterday, she was like, I've been asking her all this time, find out about basketball, find out about basketball. And then she says yesterday, oh, the tryouts is tomorrow. Like,
Oh my
what? I'm
gosh.
like, what time? She's like, I don't know. I think 6 o'clock. Why would they have trials at 6 o'clock? That literally makes no sense.
Mm-mm.
So I call the school. They don't answer the phone. I'm just blown. So I was like emailing people, whatever, and I got in contact with one of the teachers. And first she was like, oh, it's next week. I'm like, okay. Then she was like, oh, no, they're going to do it tomorrow during school hours. So I'm like, okay.
So, when did they do it?
It's tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
I'm telling them to
Okay.
go
Wow.
out today because I needed to know today
Yeah.
what time, if I would have been able to pick her up or if I had to arrange for somebody else to pick her up. You know what I mean? I just was
Right.
like, and then
Yeah.
when I go up there at 5 o'clock, I had to wait almost 20 minutes for her to come down.
Child.
I gotta get her a watch though. She don't have a watch. And she told me the classrooms don't have clocks. Have you ever heard of that before?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. No.
Mm-mm.
I thought they had closed that school down, but they still here. I don't
Heck
know what's
no.
going on. Did you meet the principal?
The CEO or the dean. I ain't mean I only met the teachers. So they don't,
Okay.
they don't have principals.
Yeah. Ooh.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll get better. You just gotta stay on top of them. 'Cause you know
Yes.
how, listen, people
Right.
be.
And then I feel like she is like the adjustment is she's digressing. I feel like she's
Mhm.
digressing. Like she was more on point, like, oh, I forgot. I'm like, well, why did you get this grade? Oh, I forgot to hand in a 4-page paper. How you forget to hand in this 4-page paper? What do you mean? I'm like, well, Ava, don't you have a planner? So she went from, having a locker. They don't even have lockers. So she has all this stuff that she gotta bring home every day, bring home. I'm just
Oh, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
I've been going I've been
Mm.
going through it. Like,
Mm.
It'll get better. You need
Yes.
some intercessory prayer.
yes,
You
honey, every
need some
day. Yes.
intercession.
Yes.
yes, please
Yes.
intercede for me.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah. And then I pick Aiden up from school. They don't have his jacket. Now, I didn't flip out because I didn't flip out a couple weeks ago when they didn't have his jean jacket, because that morning when I put the jean jacket on, I said, "Oh, this is a little too small," you know. So when I picked them up, he didn't have the jean jacket. They didn't have the jean jacket. I said to myself, I didn't put his name in it. That's on me. I said it's okay because the jacket was too small. So I purchased my son a new jacket, and he took that to school today. And when I picked him up, he didn't have it. I said, okay, well, where's his jacket? They looking all over. I was like, well, I'm not leaving without his jacket. So they finally find it. I'm just like, oh my
Girl,
God.
too much. Mm, mm, mm.
Girl, yes. So I mean, I'm blessed. Period. I'm blessed. I have all my faculties. You know, I have my parents. I have my family. I'm blessed, but agitated. That's it.
Yeah, it'll be better. You gotta speak it into existence. It'll be better.
Yes, 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 yes.
What about you, Coco? How are you?
I am good. I am enjoying. I feel like it's like the first official week of fall here.
I see
Like
you
we
got all
just
your little fall decors in the crib.
yes, yes. I love it. I love it. So it's been like nice and chilly, just opening up the windows and, pulling out the sweaters. So it's been good. I've been enjoying it. I love this time of year. Like I just
Me
feel like this
too.
just
Girl,
like jump starts the holidays. And like you were
Yeah.
saying, Shalia,
right.
like I'm not missing none of it. I'm going to the pumpkin patch. I'm doing everything. I'm
Right.
not going to have this be
Exactly.
like the summer.
Right. Exactly.
I'm not going
Yes.
out like that.
Girl,
Yeah. So yeah.
yes.
So it's a farm out here that we're going to check out. This will be our first time going because last year we would still ended up going to Lynn Villa. So we're
Hmm.
going to try some local stuff
Oh yeah,
and
that's
kind of
awesome.
yeah, get more connected here because I'm like, our support system is in Philly, but I'm like, we live here, we gotta
Yeah.
get acclimated. And now that I'm working now, I got some like friends in this area, so that's been helpful.
Ooh.
And so I want to try to see what we have to offer here locally. So I'm in a good
Okay.
space. Yeah.
Good. 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 Sounds fun.
Yeah. We went to Limbilla last week. It was hell.
Was it crowded? You went on the weekend?
No, I went with a class trip
Oh, well then
again,
Oh,
unorganized. I just
but that's
can't
when all
like
the kids be there,
yeah,
child.
yes.
yeah,
And it was
yeah.
just like, oh my God, the school was being cheap. They got one bus. All these people, and they talk about some three to a darn chair. I was so
I
annoyed.
can't do it. I can't do
But
Mm-mm.
it.
that was my
Yeah.
son's first time ever on a school bus. You
Oh,
know, he never been on
yeah.
a school bus before.
Oh,
So, because I already kind of like pumped it up. Because if I
yeah, yeah.
did, man, I'm like, I'll meet y'all there. Like, this is too
Right,
much.
right. It's funny that the kids that don't typically take the buses or trains, it's like an adventure, because
Yeah.
I remember
It
Reagan like wanted to get on the L to go downtown when we were in Philly, and she was,
is.
please, can we get
Hmm.
on the train? Can we get on the train? I'm just like, but I'm like, oh, let me not be like that. She wants to get on the
Yeah.
train, take her on the train and
Yes,
go downtown. Like
Yeah.
my
It's a
son's
different
never been.
experience for kids. They
they
don't
want to get on
know.
the bus, they want to go on the
Yeah,
Yeah.
my
train.
son's never been. He's never been. See, me, Ava, you know, like when you got one kid, man, you can. But Ava, we used to catch the sub. Like when Disney on Ice would come, we would catch the sub, you
Yeah,
know, the
yeah.
Disney on Ice.
Mm-hmm.
But Aiden,
Mm-hmm.
he's never been on the train.
Yeah.
I was, yeah, he's never been on the L.
Mm-hmm.
SEPTA and Philly is so crazy right now. I have
It
no
is.
intentions on getting on the
It's a
L.
just a different time. It really
It is.
is.
It is.
I'm like,
For real,
man,
it is.
some of the things happening is crazy.
Um, Me,
Your
I
hair looks cute.
thank you. I always, I'm not gonna say that now, but today was rough.
Was
Today
it?
was rough. I took
Hmm.
off work because I thought that I had all my appointments today, so I'm like, I'm gonna knock them out in one day, so I don't gotta take off no more days. So I had my first appointment at 7 o'clock this morning. So I got done early. So I was supposed to have an appointment with my primary care doctor. So I was like, let me call and see if I could come early because when I made the appointment, the guy that I talked to was like, oh, we got 10 o'clock. He was like, but that might be, too much for you, like getting here. So I'm like, okay. I know he had told me that somebody canceled, so let me see if that's still available. I call the girl like, your appointment was last Wednesday. Huh? Yeah, your appointment was on October 4th. I said, well, that's not what I have because I specifically scheduled all my appointments for the same day. I said, do you guys still call? Do you send out like reminders? She was like, yeah. I was like, well, I didn't get anything if my appointment was last week, you know? So I'm in the midst of telling her because my last appointment, I wanted it to be telehealth. The girl scheduled it for telehealth, but not really, because unbeknownst to me, it was my yearly appointment and I needed to come in the office. So I ended up missing that. I sitting on telehealth, nobody showed up. So now this
Mm.
happens. Mind you, I've been kind of iffy about this doctor because the last time I went to see her was a year after my transplant and I had gained 10 pounds and she was like coming down on me like, you gained too much weight. Mind you, big and can't was having like I don't know if she has asthma, but was breathing really, really hard. And I was like, because
Stop
after
the
the
press.
appointment,
Wait, she was overweight herself.
yes. So I said, you do know that I had two transplants and I'm on a steroid drug. So I am going to gain some kind of weight.
Yeah.
And it's been a year.
Hmm.
It wasn't in a
And
month or 3 months or
yeah,
6 months that I gained this weight.
but pounds don't always reflect fat. Like sometimes it could be fluid. You could be
Hmm.
retaining fluids.
But just the fact that how
And
she
you
went
got all them, or you got, additional organs. Like,
right, and that's what I was
oh my
trying to. Well,
God.
she should know. So, make a long story short, I had to find a new doctor today, which was a whole thing in
Oh
itself.
my
But I
goodness.
found a new doctor, and I
Oh
got an
my
appointment
God.
on Monday. Thank God.
Thank
Mm-mm.
God.
So,
Yeah.
but I didn't let that. I was pissed. Because this is why I got pissed. I was in the middle of explaining to the girl, uh, palm
Hmm.
colored
Mm.
person. Why? Because my doctor is a African American woman, and I was explaining to her why I was upset. In the middle of me talking, she pressed the music and transferred me to somebody else.
What?
Oh
I
my
had it on
goodness.
speaker, and I was on the phone with Eric. I said that what? Why the music playing? And then somebody else picked up like, "This is Rashida. How can I help you?"
Oh,
So you
that's
transfer me
crazy.
to the black girl.
What a
Wow.
clown.
I wanted
Wow.
to. I
Shalia, what a bozo.
exactly. I wanted to call. He was like, "No, just let it go." Cause who? What? Why would you do that?
Right.
Mm-mm.
So I
Right.
was just
Like it's a
like,
call center or something. Like, I ain't got time to hear.
yeah.
That's
So Rashida was
crazy.
like, "Well, let me see." I said, "Rashida, you really can't help me." I said because at this point, I'm just go to another doctor. She was like, "I'm so sorry." I was like, "It's not you. It's just everything that has happened up until this point." So that was that. But it was just like, what if I didn't call? What if I
Right.
went up there thinking
Hmm.
I had this appointment and I didn't? You know what I'm
But
saying?
how
So,
last week or the week before last they didn't send a notification, a reminder for your
and
Nothing.
listen, I usually give something that say you missed your appointment, make sure you reschedule. Then I said I talked to a guy. A guy? Like, yes, I talked to a guy. But do you know his name? I said I think it was David or something with a D, or I don't know who that is. Never mind, ma'am. Never mind. So
Oh my goodness.
it just was the ghetto. So I was just
Yes,
like, let me just
basically.
move on from here because it's just not a good experience for me. So,
Yeah. Oh.
but yeah, I didn't let it, I was pissed in that moment, but I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Musa, after I found a new doctor and they got a opening on Monday, I was like, okay. So, and
Yes. Good.
I wasn't specifically looking to go to another African American, but it just so had I didn't like specifically seek out this. Sought out who accepted my insurance, and it just
Hmm.
happens to be another black woman. So we'll
Nice.
Oh,
see.
awesome. Yeah,
We'll
we
see.
will
Nice.
see.
Yes. So, oh, I like that joint. Nope, I don't like that joint of prime time. What you got, Coco?
I have a oh, I like that joint. Um, I watched this documentary. I don't know if y'all heard of it. It's on HBO Max. It's called Savior Complex.
Hmm.
And it's about basically what they call like the white savior complex. And the
Mm-hmm.
documentary is about basically this organization or this white woman in particular who was doing like ministry work over in Uganda. You know how they go over there and do the different things over in Africa. And so
Mm-hmm.
it started off like with as like a feeding kitchen. Like she was like feeding, like they was feeding children in this particular village or whatever. And then it ended up turning into basically like a clinic where like she was kind of running a clinic, but she has no like medical expertise.
Hmm.
So she's just like over there like putting in IVs and doing blood transfusions and things of that nature.
What?
And like children died, and it came
Oh, I gotta
to
watch that.
it. Yeah, you do, because you usually be putting me on, you know what I mean? So
Yes,
I'm
I
surprised.
gotta
I was
watch
like, I'm
that.
surprised she ain't mentioned this to me, because I always hear the
Yes.
documentaries. You be having the good ones, girl. So
Oh, I gotta
I
watch
just
that.
was like watching this, like unbelievable. So it wasn't until this organization called No White Savior started to kind of track this woman and kind of see like some of the things and get her shut down, because she didn't really have what she needed in terms of, well, the expertise, and then it was also like some stuff she wasn't certified and things like that. But when
Licenses
you
and
watch
stuff.
it, it's just like the audacity. So they were basically, the premise is just basically like people thinking they could just go over there and do whatever. Now she is
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
like, well, no, I was just trying to help and yada yada yada. But obviously over here in the United States, we can understand how crazy that sounds if you just have no medical, like. And
Right.
she was like all at churches like testifying like, I'm over here saving lives and I don't have any medical experience. Like she's in the pulpit
Oh, so
saying
that
that
she was telling the people,
as if
look,
it's a testimony to how God is just like giving her this
yeah.
gift in the moment. And like even some of her colleagues who were like it was a nurse that was came over there to volunteer as well, who's an actual nurse, was kind of looking at her like, you just gonna be out here doing all this without no sort of, and she ended up having to leave the organization because it just made her so uncomfortable watching this lady do all these things. And she was saying even like the African doctors that they did eventually start to consult with and have like African nurses, she felt like she wasn't even respecting their authority. You know
Oh,
what I
right.
mean? Like they would
Mm-hmm.
kind of be following her lead still. And she ain't
Mm-hmm.
even have
Mm.
no. So it was crazy. So I was into that, child. So check that out. I like
Yeah,
that
that
joint
Oh,
because
sounds
it
yeah.
shed
good.
a lot of
Max be
light.
having, yeah, Max be having some good
Yeah,
documentaries.
it was a really good
Yeah.
one. Yeah, so I like that was mine.
But that has happened a lot. What was the doctor
Mm-hmm.
name that was it was a white doctor who went to some part of Africa and he was making women sterile like back
Mm-hmm.
in the day. Like a whole bunch
Wow.
of women were, yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
they did. Yeah, they
unfortunate.
did that in a lot
Sad.
of third world countries.
Mhm.
It's sad. It's sad that they do that, because they
They
need
was
the
doing that with
help.
they
Hmm.
was doing that with the Native Americans here. Actually, they was
Wow.
going to like reservations and doing that.
It's crazy.
It's very
Yeah.
crazy. Hmm.
I'ma check that out.
It was very telling.
Mhm. What you got, Janina?
So I have kind of like two. So
Um,
shut up. No, oh, I like that joint.
like
Anyway,
no, go
so
ahead.
I like that joint is blue velvet cake. I had that for the first time
Blue
this
velvet.
weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
one of my friends, she had a coming of age ritual ceremony for her daughter. Her daughter turned 13. And she kind of like researched, what a lot of cultures do because she never did it before, but I thought it was like really dope. She basically had like elders from her family and like the godparents and her parents. They all like basically spoke life and spoke confidence into her daughter. Like we were outside and they did part scripture, but it also was like, telling her daughter, that God has amazing things for her. I thought it was awesome.
That is
And
awesome.
it was her, yeah. But I mean, I definitely have heard of it. That's the thing about us being like remnants of, the slave trade. It's like we lost a lot of our rituals that our ancestors did. Because like remember like on Color Purple they do it. You know what I mean? They
Hmm.
like when they cut themselves and stuff. But anyway, so it was like a 13th birthday party also. So she had a birthday cake and it was blue velvet. It was really good.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, so I thought the ceremony was I couldn't stay for the whole. I was there, but I was in and out because I had little crazy with me. So he was in the house. So I was like going in and out checking on him. But it was really good. It was the food,
Yeah.
the cake was good. I had 2 slices, child.
Nice. Blue
Yeah,
velvet.
it's just that they put the coloring in it, so you
Instead of
pretty
red,
much,
blue, I guess,
yeah,
right?
you can make it any color.
So
Hmm.
red velvet is just
It's
it's dyed. It's
chocolate.
just chocolate cake dyed red.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Oh, so we could just do any color velvet.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
knew? Okay.
No, oh yeah. Well, I don't think it's the same as chocolate cake. It's made with cocoa, but it's not the same as chocolate cake.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
like a regular
It's other
chocolate cake
ingredients. It's
mix,
vanilla and stuff in it
Right.
also.
but
But
it
the
is
red is
chocolate.
coming by way of dye. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like I'm
I
thinking,
think traditionally it was done with like beets though. Like
oh, oh.
yeah, I've seen like some recipes that's where the red will come from, beets. Because
Mm.
red velvet cake is one of a traditional dish for Juneteenth.
Juneteenth, yeah.
So I doubt they hit, yeah. So I think they will get the color
Use
But
from
the
red.
now
beads.
that the world has
Have red.
evolved, you can pretty much make it any
Right.
color.
Right.
So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Hmm. What's your other one?
It was the ceremony and the blue velvet cake. That's what I
Oh,
said.
okay.
The
Oh, okay.
ritual,
A
you know,
two
that
in
was
one.
something.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Okay. So I actually have a nope. I don't like that joint. And my nope. I don't like that joint is I don't like when you talking to somebody. It could just be like a general conversation, telephone conversation, and you're talking to them about something that you're going through, and they totally dismiss what you talk about to talk about themselves. That's
Hate it.
that's annoying to me. It's a
Hate
pet
it.
peeve,
Yeah.
and especially when a person asks you like, about the situation or what's going on, and then they still
Hmm.
like pretty much make it about themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm trying because I was saying to myself when they happened, like, see, this is why I don't talk to people. But I'm trying to be
Girl,
better. So, but I'm still choosy about who I choose to talk to now.
selective.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You gotta protect your peace. Yeah.
pretty much.
Girl.
And it's just like because I talk to people about their problems all day. Um, I don't want to listen if you're not like my friend or somebody that I talk to on a regular basis or some stuff I just don't have the mental capacity for. And on top of that, like, and this too made me realize like you got to get a therapist because then if
Hmm.
you had your therapist, you would be able to talk to her or him about it. So
Yeah.
Right.
it just was
Yeah,
like an
very
eye
important.
opener for everything. You know what I mean? So yes.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we're going to get into this week's episode topic. And this week's episode topic is maintaining a relationship with God beyond church.
Amen.
So, Coco, what are your thoughts on
you
this
know,
topic?
well, you know what? I think you and I talked about this before. I think we kind of were talking about some potential topics and some things that I thought would be good for just to kind of get some feedback about.
Hmm.
But I think now let me ask y'all this first. Are either one of y'all a member of any church?
No, not
Okay.
right now.
Okay. So I'm not the only one. Okay. Because that's what I'm like, okay. Are
Right.
you
I
No.
want to
Janita?
find. I do. I'm not an active member now. I want to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
want to be too, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
well, yeah.
I'm just curious because I know I'm not and I haven't been. And I know the shift it was like a couple of reasons why, but the reason why I stopped going to the one church that I was going to that was close to where I was living at Winfield. So we kind of talked about that, Shalia. But
Yeah, you talked about it on
oh,
when you
did I
were
did I
on
talk about
before.
how that whole
Yeah.
situation? Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
um but I think that in general though, I think when COVID hit, that kind of halted my little because I was actually in search of a new church. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
I felt like you want to be connected, and I feel like it's a lot of good benefits that comes with that community aspect.
Most definitely.
Of
Hmm.
spirituality. But one of the things that I learned specifically during that time frame, I think when everything was shut down, um, it helped me to kind of expand my views a bit more. You know what I mean? Because I think that for a lot of years, especially like in my 20s, you know what I mean, when I was like a young adult coming into womanhood, I always kind of equated like my relationship with God and my spirituality with my actions in terms of like good or bad, you know. And I used to feel like, you know, well, if I do this and don't do that, then, you know, ultimately I'll yield this. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like I was looking at God as if he was judging my actions and maybe
Right.
withholding certain things from me because of my actions or whatever. Like it was like that was the kind of relationship I had. And so I put a lot of pressure on myself, you know, as a result of that. And so when the doors of the church closed to a certain extent, you know, it kind of gave me a little bit more freedom and free time to kind of think on that and ponder, you know, what that looked like. What does a relationship with God look like? Like, is it about me going to ministry and going to church, you know what I mean? And what about if all that is taken away, like it was for a season? Like, what if we can't like go and
Yeah.
do, you know what I mean? Because I was like active in the church, you know what I mean? Ushers and
Yeah.
evangelism out there handing out tracts, you know what I mean? Like when I
Yes.
Oh
was on it,
wow.
I was on it. So you couldn't tell
Mm-hmm.
Right.
me, you know, but life kept showing me that, you know, I kept feeling like I was powerless and I kept feeling like I was missing the mark, you know. And so as I started to kind of heal from a lot of different things, especially as it related to my marriage, and after I stopped trying to put the focus on, all right, where should I go next? Where should I go? Who's a good preacher? Where's a good preacher? Okay, I started to figure out, okay, listen, Coquina, maybe it's bigger than that. You know what I mean? Maybe you're limiting God into, you know, you going to this place every week and you studying and things like that, which are all important. But how about you sit down and try to figure out, okay, what it looks like now when you can't do that. You can't kind of be distracted by doing the things of God. You know what I mean? And so it kind of helped me. So it kind of helped expand my views.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized like through self-love, you know, I had to start to learn those parts, love those parts of me. I think that at one point in time I was like kind of ashamed of, and I was felt guilty for
Mm.
having, you know, different feelings and different desires and things like that. But I started to try to love on those things more and try to figure out where a lot of those feelings came from.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it kind of just opened up God to me in a whole different way, you know, whereas now it's like church is still important, obviously, because I
Yeah.
feel like you still want that community, but I don't
Yeah.
feel like God is attached to that building. You know what I mean? Where I feel like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes
Yeah.
you wouldn't admit it, you know, because we all know it's just a building. But I feel like somewhere on some conscious level, we feel like going there is like points towards righteousness or something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
not going there
Right.
is kind of like you're convicted, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So you know,
Right.
so I just kind of had to break out of that, you know, and now it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, it's more free, it's more liberating because now I feel like I'm more open to other ideas about spirituality, other ideas about God.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like, you know what I mean? Whereas before I wasn't trying to hear it. You
Right.
know
Right.
what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's been a blessing because I think for a lot I put this burden on myself. I put this pressure on myself, and now I realize like I don't have to do I don't have to go through any particular procedure, or I don't have to do any specific thing to get to God. God is a part of me. I'm one with God, period. You know
Right.
what I mean? And I
Mm.
feel like the judgment and other people may make me feel like, okay, that's not enough, but I know that that's enough for God. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so
Right.
as a result of that, does that mean I just sit somewhere and just kind of put on my thumbs? No, you know, because God gives us light, you know what I mean? So we shine our light, you know what I mean? We be love and action, you know what I mean? No matter where I'm at. So if I'm at the job, I'm showing love, I'm being light to other people, I'm being kind, I'm being generous or whatever. But it's ways to do it versus, you know, because sometimes you can go to a church. I remember we had, you know, I lost my older brother a few months back in June. And um just even trying to plan that service,
Mm.
we ended up using the church. You know, my brother wasn't affiliated with any church or whatever, so we
Right.
ended up
Right.
using the church, and it just wasn't kind individuals we encountered. You
At
Wow.
that
know,
church.
at that church, yeah, it wasn't kind,
Yeah.
and it was
I
so
actually was gonna ask.
surprising. It was so surprising, you know what I mean? Because it's just like, first of all, we're grieving, and second of all, like it's God's house, you know what I mean, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. So it was just like jarring. But God showed me a long time ago, it's not really about these buildings and these congregations. You know what I mean? God is way bigger than that. But it was just so, but it was hard, especially on my mother, because, she was very vulnerable at that point in time,
Yeah.
and just having her trying to, kind of be in that space and plan a funeral and kind of being bombarded with like this spirit that wasn't really loving.
Yeah.
So we've
Yeah.
encountered that. We got stories about different things happening
Listen.
in church. We got stories for days.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and you never want to just throw away the whole situation, throw out the baby with the
That
bathwater.
right.
Mhm.
That is, I think, what we normally like are in conflict with, is because you can have such bad experience with these humans in this church that's supposed to be a representation of something that's so beautiful, a way for you to connect.
Yeah.
And your spirit, like, just like for me personally, I would love to be able to be in a like positive place, somewhere where I'm getting fed and I feel like, I'm accomplishing goals and it's encouraging and my children are learning things about the
Yeah.
word and they're, building a relationship also. I
Mm-hmm.
would love to experience that. I just feel like sometimes just the mere thought of like trying on all of these churches is exhausting. You
Overwhelmed.
know what I
It,
mean?
it
Yeah.
is. It
Mhm.
Because
is.
like the one summer that me and Shalia was like trying and we went to a couple of churches, these men of God were, it was
It
it's
was
jarring.
different.
It's so jarring. The thing is, honestly, is that when you are, I'm not an infant in Christ. I'm definitely not a grown person in Christ, but I'm kind of like a teenager. So a lot of times people messages is for people who don't know the word, people who's never, when I got saved years ago at a church in Jersey, Bethany, that church, I love that. I love the church. It's just, it's far away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just a lot. But I loved my experience there. But again, it's still politics. You know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
sometimes go to church because you feel like you don't want people to judge you because they see that you're not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may not be feeling it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You may not be feeling it, but it's just, honestly, I think as a Christian or as a believer, you have to be content in your relationship. Everything is about relationship. Like, you have to be content in your relationship with God. When
Yeah.
we experience good or bad, we thank God. And I think that's like what's so important, is to humble yourself. A lot of times people take credit, when you know it,
And
it
pass
wasn't you.
them. Yeah.
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 It wasn't you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I know for me personally, I had like, my mom used to go to church. She used to take us to church all the time. I didn't learn jack when I went to church with my mom, but I
Yeah.
was young. But I
Yeah.
don't
Right.
feel like I really learned anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I wasn't also I was such a child that I wasn't interested in really like learning a lot either.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mhm.
just was
Yeah.
Yeah.
basically there.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
then when I got to an age where I could make a choice, she stopped making it a requirement for me to go.
Mm.
But I think a lot of times, especially humans are just so flawed. Humans are just so flawed that a lot of times they're always projecting their ish on everybody else,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But like, for instance, like I listen to Kev on Stage all the time, right? Like I listen to his podcast, and he's somebody who used to be like in Kojic, really churchy, churchy, churchy. So a lot of times they'll like post like these viral preachers, and the stuff that they're doing on the pulpit is just like so crazy.
Yeah.
like the one preacher, he had a Rose, like he literally had a prop as a Rose vibrator at the church. Like,
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. It's
yo,
the
it's
Listen.
so
antics. It's
wow.
the antics.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
the
It
and
is.
that's the
It
thing. And
is.
imagine if you don't know God and that's your first
First
encounter, or
experience.
you don't really,
Yeah.
and that's all I thought about, especially with
Man.
the funeral. Like, imagine if we didn't know. Like, imagine if I didn't
Right.
know how much love God had for me. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
imagine this is my only representation of it. And so
Yeah.
It's like
So was it just nasty people who were in charge of things at that church?
it was just like, she was just saying she was trying to, talk to the woman about different, how the order of the service and the
Uh-huh.
payment and things like that. And it was just like, just wasn't a real warm spirit, and like just more, being abrasive.
Mhm.
And,
Okay.
and so when she left out, if it wasn't for the fact that we kind of were pressed for time, we probably would have opted to go elsewhere. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But that's the whole dilemma when you're planning a funeral for a person who's not like connected anywhere. Sometimes you kind of have to, if you don't, we weren't connected anywhere either. So it
Right.
was just kind of like, we just kind of picking a church. So that was the unfortunate part about it. But, it's just
Yeah.
like, thank God that, you know what I mean, I'm where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like I've always been very spiritual. I've always been very conscious of God. You know what I mean? So that's why even when I served God, it was a lot of pressure, but I always believed it was the right thing to do because I always felt God in my spirit. Like, you know what I mean? Like you couldn't
Mhm.
convince me because, as a child, like I would watch God do miraculous things for myself, for my
Mm.
family, that it was no other credit but to give it to God. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So
Right. Yeah.
it was no convincing me, you know what I mean, that God wasn't real. So it was actually my pleasure to do things, God's way, because I'm like, God has done so much for me, you know what I mean? But at
Right.
the same time, what I had to leave space for was humanity and just to learn and understand, like, sometimes it's through the mistakes that we make. That's how we evolve and move forward. That's actually a part of the story too. You
Most
can't spend your
definitely.
life trying not to get no blemishes on the record or trying not to
Right.
make a
Right.
mistake or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to get out there and have some experiences so you can learn
Mhm.
and grow.
That's the best
And that's the
experience.
best
Is the
thing.
best teacher.
Exactly.
The
And
best
so I had to
teacher.
let myself off the hook, you know what I mean, so to
Mhm.
speak. But I'm telling you, it took for me to step out of a box, because I feel like being in a box, the church box in particular, it made me feel like, I felt pressured to get married, or I felt pressure to like
Mm-hmm.
I felt pressured, or I felt like maybe it was something wrong if I wasn't kind of in that space, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that caused me to, I know it caused me to just kind of make certain decisions that maybe if I would have just kind of been going with the flow of life and just kind of, I wouldn't have made, but ultimately, like we said, that's part of my testimony too. But I think what people have to understand when it comes to church, we don't have to be so, like, we don't have to, you don't have to put so much pressure on yourself. You have to understand, we all are connected to God. You know what I mean? God made us in his image, all of us, you know what I mean? And
Right.
so, what all other people can really do is kind of just confirm what you already know at best. They can't really
Right.
speak to, you know what I mean? They can't come and tell you
But
about your life.
that's if you know God, because you gotta
Right.
know God. If you
Right.
don't, then
Yes. And
you know what I
yourself.
mean? Yeah, in
Yeah.
yourself, because then if you don't know, then it's pretty much like you're open to all of these things. But I wanted to go back and touch on how you were saying the people at the church were
Hmm.
abrasive.
Hmm.
People don't realize they look at these buildings as theirs,
Yeah.
right? It's not yours.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
Hmm.
that's where that whole thing comes in, because people in my family that have been at a particular church that I'm not going to name for years were told, "Oh, you can't. No, we're not doing the funeral here, or you could do it at
Right.
the small church, not at the big
Mm-hmm.
church." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Hmm.
it's like, but this
Right.
person was a member for their whole life. They paid their tithes.
They don't
They were
care.
on the choir. They were on the
Wow.
usher board. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So to say like, no, we can't hold your service here. It's like, this is not yours. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
only have this because of God.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then when the
Yeah.
money becomes involved and all of that stuff, and it's just a lot with that. But I
Yeah.
know for me personally, I've had, I grew up in the church. My story is kind of crazy. Y'all know my story. I went to
Hmm.
church with my mom, my grandma
Yeah.
on the weekends, but on Fridays I was at
Your
the
mom.
mosque with my mom.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I mean? My mom, my dad. So, but I always loved church. My grandma had us on the choir doing different stuff. So that's what I lean to as an adult. And I think CoCo, you were like my first friend who invited me to church. Plus, I
Hmm.
remember like you passing out the tracts and you constantly invited me to church. You never gave up. And then
Hmm.
I finally went. And several times I went to a lot of different churches with you. And then when Janina and I were going through our journey, like her and I were going to different churches, but I kind of got stirred away from a bad experience that I had at a church. And now when I go into churches, it's hard for me to kind of
Yeah.
let that go. So
Yeah.
I'm always looking at people, and it's
Yes.
not my job to judge, but
Mm-mm.
because that experience for me was so hard,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
now I'm like, I don't know. I'm always finding something. And
Yeah, me
even
too.
Mm.
with
Me
Coco, the
too.
church that you were going to
Mm-hmm.
in Winterfield, they knew me,
Mm-hmm.
but when I
Crazy.
went
You kept
there, it
saying
was
it too.
like they ain't know who I was.
Yeah.
Like these
Yeah.
people came and visited me in a hospital. Like I've been to their daughter's house, and my sister was very close to the pastor's wife, and she would always go to stuff. So it's just
Wow.
like the vibes that people give off is just
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I strayed away. But
Mm-hmm.
like back to me always being blessed, me always having what I needed, just how I grew up. Me
Yes.
being here and being alive and not being on drugs and
Yeah.
all those things is only because of God.
Yeah.
So I had
Yeah.
to build my own relationship with God beyond church, beyond everything, reading my
Yeah.
Bible, applying the scripture to me. Because that's
Yes.
another thing. You'll sit in church and they teaching this and this and that. And then you
Yeah.
go read it for yourself and you be like,
Yeah. Yeah. That happened to
Yeah.
us when we went to that church.
yeah,
Somebody told you about that church, and he was teaching that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is the same story, right? It's the same incidents. It's not separate incidents. It's just told by these different people. He was speaking on the incident like it happened multiple times. We're like, no. He was like, because when Jesus came last time and knocked their stuff over, like, no, what do you mean it's the
It's
same
the same thing.
time?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he was acting like he was smoking a blunt. It's just, this is my thing. Like, for me, like, everybody, it's like a shoe. You get what I'm saying? Like, this, you may wear a 9, I may wear a 9, but that shoe may not fit your foot the way that it fit mine. You get what
right,
I'm saying?
right,
Because at the end of the day, if I don't feel like this person is equipped for my soul, for my
Yeah.
spirit, and for me to be able to let go, because once you have that connection with God, when you are in a place that the spirit is moving, like,
Yeah.
you do experience like a different feeling, and you're crying, and you're releasing things in
Mm-hmm.
this space. So
Mm-hmm.
this space, I need to be able to feel like I could trust this space, and that this person is not manipulative, because that is what happens a lot of times, is that people are manipulative, like, oh, we didn't reach our budget, now deep down dig down and give us some more money. Like, what? Why every time we come here y'all asking for more money? Like,
right.
what is going on?
And it's
So
not even my church. I only visit here and now, but
yeah, and
every
then
time
but
I
I've been
come,
visiting, and every time y'all ain't meeting y'all budget. What's going on?
exactly.
But um and
Mm-mm.
I mean, it's just, you have to learn. I feel like, everybody's journey is going to be different. Everybody's connection is going to be different. I just advise no one to get discouraged of building that relationship with God, because when you're
Mm-mm.
at your lowest and you don't have anybody, like, He's there.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's
Yeah.
all you have.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you have to be comfortable with that. Like, you
Yeah.
have to be comfortable. And just as you get older, you learn to hear His voice. And that is something
Mhm.
that has been new for me for the last couple of years. Whereas though, like, okay, I've been hearing it. And then if He's telling me to tell somebody something or do something, then I'm like, I gotta do it, and I'll do it. And but everybody's journey is different. But
Yeah.
I know that your relationship with God is not
Yeah.
tied to a church.
Mm-mm.
It's
No,
just
it's
like,
not.
if you have a mom, if you go visit your mom at her house, like, that's your mom. If you go visit your mom somewhere else, that's your mom. Like, she's always gonna be your mom. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Regardless
Right.
of where
Right.
she is.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
it's a lot of great people in ministry. There is a lot of great people in ministry. There is a lot of people that is truly doing God's work.
Yeah,
But the thing is,
yeah,
there are people who are manipulating everybody's a desire to have this strong, healthy, faith based relationship.
yeah.
Because oh yeah, did you watch the documentary about old boy from what's the name of that church? That big
The
church,
Hillsong.
Hillsong. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
watch
I
both of the
watched it.
documentaries?
I watched the other one on the one on Hulu, right?
The latest
Mm-hmm.
one with him, with the
Mm-hmm.
guy.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It
And
was just it was telling. It was
you got
telling
to
because I feel
learn
like
how it's a business
yeah,
first.
absolutely. And
You
all the
got to learn
cover
how they
ups
ran Hillsong like it was a business
and
first.
yeah,
They groomed
exactly.
him. They used his
Mm-hmm.
charisma to get people in the door. And then when people, especially people of color,
Right.
when they started to speak up for themselves, they gave them a
Yeah.
boot.
Yeah.
If that
Exactly.
if that's happening there, imagine how many other
Imagine.
places it's happening, and
Exactly.
we
To
just
to
don't
where
Yeah.
have a
yeah.
documentary for it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So,
Right. And I that's why it's important, I think, to just and to find our own power, like you said, Janina, finding that connection, like you said, you're feeling
Yes.
that intuition, you're starting to discern what God is saying, and
Right.
understanding that. And that's kind of what I had to do. You know what I mean? I had to kind of get quiet. I started meditating more. I had
Mm.
to realize like my energy really was what was kind of blocking or allowing a lot of blessings in my life. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
mhm.
I had to start to kind of resonate on the wavelength or the frequency or the energy that I wanted to be. You know what I mean? Like I was just so used to just
Since you
kind of,
saying that the wavelength and the
mm-hmm,
energy and the frequency, talk a little bit
yeah.
about that. About that.
Well, that's what I'm saying is it's about attracting. You know what I mean? It's about embodying it. Whereas I think I was just so used to like, God, I need this. God, I need that. God, please bless me, Lord, and just and there's nothing wrong with that. I do feel like it's a space for crying out to God because I feel like I said, all my life He's been hearing me. But I do feel like um, what started to work better for me, and I started to see drastic changes in my life was when I started visualizing more so what I wanted. Like I started reading a little bit about the law of attraction, and what that
Mhm,
basically talks about is like attracts like. So whatever
Mhm.
you are, that's what you will attract. You know what I mean?
mhm,
And I
Mhm.
started to like apply that principle like in my life as far as like dating. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I
mhm.
mean? I'm sitting here keep telling my girlfriends, girl, everybody trash, he this, he that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so what's the common thing here? You know what I mean? After so
Mhm,
many bad dates, you know what I mean? I had to start to kind of step back and say, okay, like, is it
Right.
me? You know what I
It's
mean?
right.
Like,
something
am
I
I
need to
trash?
rearrange.
Like, am
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
trash or whatever? So I started to realize it. So first I applied it, more so to like to that because I'm like, all right, dating and things like that. But I'm like, why stop there? You know what I mean? Like, what about other areas of my life that I want to see changes? Am I still like resonating down here with low energy as it relates to like my dreams or things that I want? Am I still sitting around thinking like, oh, you can't move, you can't get another house because you're not married and you don't have like a two income household? You know what I mean? Are you still
Mhm.
thinking about what you can do? You know what I mean? Or
Right.
are you going to change your purview and start to think like, okay, what you can do, And
Mhm,
so what I started to do was, if it was something that I wanted, like I would feel it like I already have it. You know what I mean? And kind of
mhm,
live like I had it versus not. I said I guess I would say like versus living like I didn't have it. You know what I mean?
right.
Like it's a scripture in the Bible that speaks about it's actually a parable, and it was like, to him that has, even more will be given, but to him that doesn't have, even the little bit that he has will be taken away. And I
Mhm,
remember I used to read that scripture and I used to be like, dang, like why would God be taking
Right.
stuff away from somebody who already don't have nothing? Like
Mhm.
right.
what is the principle there? Like I never understood it until I started to figure out like the law of attraction, meaning like if you already living like you don't have something, you will continue to not have it. You know what I mean? But if
Mhm,
you live like, from the premise that you have it, whether that be love or whatever the case, you're going to attract it to you that way. It's almost like life will match what you're kind of living like it. It's almost like faking till you making it. You know what I mean? And so versus like me sitting around feeling down or like kind of looking at my bank account feeling like I ain't gonna never get from there to there. You know what I mean? No, I
Right.
have it. You know what I mean? And it takes a
mhm,
while because you kind of, like I said, have to kind of change your shift. So you kind of
Shift
looking
of
at things
mindset.
yeah, you kind of speak into things as you want them to be or as they are versus, looking at what you see in 3D. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
so that's kind of what I mean. Like it's your energy. And so as you open up yourself a little bit more to God and start to quiet your mind out, I feel like you will be able to have that discernment more. You will be able to hear from God more. Your life will unfold
Mhm.
more. And that has nothing to do with nobody
Mhm.
else. Like you have to find
Yeah.
that for yourself. You're not going to find that through another individual. Like you have to kind of get tap into that for ourselves. Like
Yeah. You
I
gotta
realize how
already love
powerful.
yourself and
Yeah, I
have all these
exactly
things going for
love
yourself before
myself.
you can ask for it from another person.
Yes, you have to. I had
Hmm.
to love myself. I had to be disciplined, show up for
Hmm.
myself, whether
Yeah.
it was like through working out, whatever I had to do. Like I had to live a life that where I took myself seriously. I took my own life
Hmm.
seriously before I'm like you said, requiring it from somebody else. So I just
Right.
feel like sometimes we sell ourselves short as far as our own power because we run into church thinking that the answer is going to be in a sermon, but God gave it to us all, and it wasn't on predicated on go to church. You hear the message. You will hear a message at church, yes, but I think the ultimate message for all of us is God made us all with this power. God gave us all this abundance. He gave us all this joy. It's inherent in who we are. But ultimately, sometimes we look outside of ourselves for things. And if we
Hmm.
go within and kind of try to, like I said, because whatever frequency you're going to be in, like that's kind of where you're kind of like, I guess it's like the frequency thing is just, is
See,
deep. I'm
I
not going
wanted
to,
you to, because you and I had a conversation about
yeah,
manifestation, and I was
yeah,
telling you, like, ever since the movie Manifest came out, I feel like people are using that word so excessively.
yeah,
And I was
yeah,
like, manifest. I've been praying for everything that I have, and
yeah,
for me, I write
yeah.
everything that I want and need
But
down.
that's to me that's a part of the manifestation process because
But
it's key you believe in it when you're writing it down, right?
what I was saying to you was when I was talking about manifestation or thinking about it, some of it became kind of like witchcrafty, which I'm
Okay.
definitely not into and don't want to
Right.
No,
be into, right?
no,
And even
yeah,
when I would like type it on social media, like if
Right.
I'm
Right. Right.
writing something and I would put hashtag manifestation, like all of these witchcraft or witches and stuff would inbox me and request me.
Right.
And I'm like,
That's
yeah,
craziness,
crazy.
no, I'm not
crazy.
into that.
That's
But
No,
I
crazy.
do believe in manifesting things into your
but
life.
it's
Right.
that's biblical. It's biblical. Even the word of
Right.
God says write it
You
down. You know what I mean?
right.
Make
If
it
you
Yeah.
plain.
putting it
Write
out
the
in the
vision.
world
Yes,
and God is seeing it and he's seeing your
yes.
actions
It's
align with that. Yeah.
Yes, you have to. You can't, you got to speak it by faith. He said, once you believe it, it's done. You have to really
Mhm.
wholeheartedly believe this stuff. You can't be
Right.
half hearted with it. And I think
Right.
that's the key with manifesting. You know what I mean? And so the world, obviously they're gonna take some things and exploit it, but I feel like that's a spiritual principle God gave to us all, you know what I mean, in order to create,
Right.
but
Right.
at the same time a lot of people, like, they're so busy looking at the world and not looking at things with their spiritual eyes. They can't see past what they don't have in their hands versus what could potentially be there, or looking through their spiritual eyes,
Yeah.
Right.
so yeah,
That's
it could be.
why I just I don't know. Social media. If we didn't hit a podcast, I would definitely not be on there because it's
Mm,
a lot of stuff. But I
yeah,
just
it is,
know for
sis.
me personally, I've always written stuff down. Everything that I've asked for, even when I look back on my Facebook statuses, you know what I'm saying? Like
Amazing.
today, my old Facebook status from 7 years ago was, I'm moving on to bigger and better things, and that was on this day 7 years ago. I left my old relationship and I moved to Georgia.
Yes.
So even, looking back at that kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
right now,
7 years
everything that,
ago.
yes, right now, everything that I've asked for, that I prayed for, that I've written down, I'm living that life. So that's why I
Amazing.
can't complain about anything.
Yes. Yes.
So I do believe that all of that is true. I just feel like you said, like the world gets into like using these words excessively, not
Yeah.
knowing what it means, where it comes from, all of
Yeah.
that stuff, and they just
Mm-hmm.
turn it into something else. Especially when that movie Manifest came out,
Yeah.
like manifest, 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 manifest. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, everybody, it's like oversaturated, and I feel like
Right.
it was like that. I felt like that about self love at one point in time. Like I feel like
Yes,
everything was so, but it's a powerful thing, self love.
it
But
is. It
once
is.
you overuse something, it kind of takes away, But it's I kind of witnessed that for myself. Like I witnessed myself like literally feeling powerless, and then being in a space where it's like, wow, I do have power, and it was like nothing that I can really it was no credit, but to give it to God. But at the same time, God had to show me, through self love, not dimming my light. You know what I mean? Not hiding out in my insecurities. Just being able to
Mhm.
love on myself and show up for myself and believe in myself.
Yeah,
Because I mean, you loving yourself, but you only believe what you can do. You talk about what you
exactly.
can't do, but
Yeah,
like let's really talk about, are we really loving ourselves if we kind of selling ourselves short on our dreams that God gave us? He gave us
yeah.
visions, and the whole time we believing that it really can't happen. Come
Listen.
on. Come on.
But that's
Yeah.
the thing how I feel about self-care. Like for a long
Yes.
time, people
Yes.
would be like, "Oh, I get my nails done, my hair done," but self-care is deeper than that. Self-care, self-love, all that stuff is deeper
Yes.
than like the surface. Yeah, you can
Yes.
do that stuff, but it's deeper than that. So
Yes.
I
So
definitely
much
agree with it.
deeper.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. So I think it's important when you maintain in a relationship with God outside of church, doing those things and having these, making sure you still have certain things you do for yourself.
Mhm.
Not to say I've closed the door. I still would love to find a church home, and I still
Yeah.
intend to.
Right.
But
Mhm.
I, like I said, when I go in, even when I visit churches now, because I have a more open perspective, you know what I mean? Like I'm there, I'm enjoying it, but it's
Yeah.
not, I don't go in with as much pressure, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
But
Right.
when we raising our children, we want to give them that foundation. And my daughter loves God. I mean, loves God. Okay.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So do mine.
She
you know,
does.
she loves the Lord. So, so I want to nurture that, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
me and her talk about God a lot, but yeah, so it's not like a bashing session about church, but I just think people don't need to feel limited to that. So much
Yeah.
more to our growth in God than, the church necessarily.
Mhm.
And we don't have to put that much on ourselves, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. I
yeah.
think for me personally, I still have some more healing to do in the
Yeah.
aspect of when I go into churches, but it's something that I'm
Yeah.
working on. But I
Yes.
know that I need to do some more healing so that when I do go into these buildings, I'm not carrying the things from my past
Let
into
it
this new
go.
opportunity.
Yes.
But it's
Yes.
not just like let it go. It's something that I have to pray about, ask God to help me because it was
Yeah.
tough. Like,
Yeah.
I love that church. I
Right.
love the pastor, everything. I learned so much, and
Yeah.
it was just like a huge blow to me. And
Yeah.
Right.
then
Like
after
getting the
that,
rug
trying to
torn.
find new churches and getting these crazy messages and everything that I know you went through and
Yeah.
just hearing, it's a lot. So I know
Yeah.
that I still have a lot of healing to do in that area. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm.
And that's a real thing. That's a real thing. And that's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a process. Everybody's healing process is different, But I what I learned about past situations and past hurts, it's like they only still hurt me if I'm still carrying them. So I had to really be intentional on feeling what I felt about every situation that ever hurt me, and just allow myself to sit in that space. And even if it's uncomfortable, even if it brought tears to my eyes, but that was just a way for me to release that pain, release that energy, so that, every time this topic came up in my head, it wouldn't always just rob me of the joy of the present moment, because it was a time where you mentioned certain things and I would just like,
Yeah. And
okay,
that's how
so
you know you healed is when
right, because
that
now
situation is
you don't
mentioned.
even remember certain
You,
things
yeah,
anymore,
yeah, or you
so
don't have
it's a
any
journey. Yeah, it's a
emotion
journey.
or crying or anything behind it. That's how you know
Right,
you're
right.
healed.
You
Yeah,
have to allow yourself to feel your feelings about it. Like you're entitled to it, but they don't have to rob you of
of joy.
whatever potential blessings may be in store for
Hmm.
you. Cool connections, sisterhood you might have in the church. You just
Right.
never know. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
that's
So I
true.
definitely understand that and be praying for you about that, because healing matters.
Yeah, I need some
Healing matters.
intercession. I need some
Yes.
intercessory prayer.
Yes.
So, Janina, you have any last thoughts before we
No.
no? Are you looking for a church? Are you where are you at with? Um, everything.
I'm not. I'm not looking. I guess I'm just like, I don't know. I'm open. I feel like I have some friends who maybe went to a couple churches that they like, but I haven't actually like went and took my kids to churches yet.
Mm.
Yeah.
I feel like it's something that I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't stepped out on faith and done it because like I feel like I have to be clear minded about it because a lot of times I go in like waiting to see something that like rub me the wrong way. But
Same.
Yeah.
That's why I said I know I'm not healed.
But so do you feel like, Janina, outside of that, you have things that you're believing God for right now that you've kind of been able to say, like, wow, this was something that I've been believing God for, and it, and this is something I'm still waiting on. You still kind of have those things, like Shalia was saying, she
I
writes
feel
stuff
like a lot
down.
of this stuff, yeah, I feel like a lot of this stuff is just on me. You get what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of things that I need to do, that I need to move, like God's telling me to move and he's been telling me to move. So a lot of stuff is just on me. Like I need to do the things that needs to be done so that I'm in a certain place. But I don't know. Like I mean, I feel like I'm in a great space where I like I'm hearing what he's telling me, but a lot of things happen and yeah, I'm real grateful. Like I'm
Yeah.
just like it's like gratitude. Like right now it's just like a space of gratitude because a lot of
Good.
things has happened and it could have went the wrong way. A lot of things when things happen now as opposed to before, it's like sometimes it's easy to get caught up in despair. So like for me, it's like when things happen, automatically I'm like, let me see what the meaning of that is. Like, let me see
Yeah.
why that happened. You get what I'm saying? Like, why did this situation happen? Because in the last like year or so, we've had a lot of different situations, like within, my small family. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
why did this happen? But I'm always on to the next. Like,
Yeah.
not trying to hold on to that going wrong, that not
Yeah.
going the way that I thought it would go. But
Yeah.
I totally see why that happened. I'm like, okay, that happened so that I can get here. This happened so
Mm.
that I can get here. So I'm constantly seeing the
Yeah. Yeah.
evolution of like events occurring in that moment. You may feel bad, like, oh, this is not really what I wanted, but then you see
Is
then
what you
and then
needed.
yeah, it's what you needed.
Yeah. He
It
uses
is
it all. Mm-hmm.
it was meant to happen so that you can
Yes.
be in the right spot. So I
Good.
totally um I get that. I just know I do know that I do want to visit. Like I have a friend who like she makes sure that she goes to church. She may it may not be her church home, but she'll like,
She gonna go.
if she gotta go by herself, she'll go and try to
She'll
find
go.
a church home,
Yeah.
try to find a church. But I just be like, yo, my time is precious and I'm not trying to waste it with some foolish person up
It's
there. Cause
listen.
some of these pastors, man, they be on some bull, man. It's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
What are
Yeah,
you
it
talking
don't even
about?
be from the word anymore. It just be their
Mm-mm.
own
No.
interpretation of stuff, and then they be bringing it into the
Yes.
world. Like I remember one of my friends was like, this pastor in Philly, which I'm not going to name, was saying, "Yeah, we need to stop wearing wigs and braids and weaves and wear our natural hair.
But
You
what
don't
is
know
it
people's
about women? Like,
situations.
what is
You
it
don't
about women?
know. I could be bald because of cancer. You don't know
Right.
what I'm going through under
Yeah.
this
What do that
wig.
have
So
to do
why
with
would
my
you say that?
salvation, sir?
I can't take it.
That's
But
what I'm
but
saying.
and that's my thing. And it's so hard to me as a woman.
Yeah.
As a woman, a lot of times there's so much misogyny in the politics behind churches, and it's from both people.
Mm-hmm.
Women get up there also and preach misogynistic things,
Wow.
preach about what a woman supposed to do, and it's like, I mean, that's not really your place. Like that's my thing. It's like if you're a shepherd, like you're supposed to be like giving us positivity and giving us tools.
Upliftment and
Yes,
stuff
giving
like
us
that.
tools
Yeah.
to take with us for the rest of the week? Like, what I take from you on Sunday, I'm supposed to be able to utilize it and say, okay, this is, this is going to guide me throughout the week. Not feeling beat the hell down because I got to weave and I'm leaving the church and I got to weave, or I'm shacking up and I'm leaving the church and I'm going home to whoever's dealing with it. I'm feeling bad. You get what I'm saying? It's like, no, like, give people hope.
Yes.
And that's the thing. People forget that they had to crawl before they walked, and where they came from with their own situations. And yeah, so that's a whole different topic. But I'm just like, I always pray for my friends.
Yeah.
I always encourage my friends because with Janina, she has so many talents, and I'll be like hyping her up, like, we need to get this done and that done. But I'm gonna continue, to pray. Like I said, I pray for all my friends.
Right.
I know what their gifts are. I know what their struggles are. I know things that they
And
share
I
with
need all the
me.
prayer.
Yes.
I need
So
all the
that's
prayer.
another thing. It's good to have
But
people
yeah,
in your life who actually, when they say, and then you don't always have to say, I'm gonna pray for you. You could just pray for people. You know what I'm saying? You
Yes.
right.
know what they need.
Yes.
You
And
know what they're
yeah,
going through. Just
I was
just
talking
keep
to
them in
my
prayer.
Yes.
and I was talking to so I have a mental health coach, but next week is my graduation. But
Okay.
um it was an incident that happened, and she was like, okay, so what did you do? I was like, because sometimes when you have a busy life and you have a lot of things going on, you don't really have the capacity to like dwell on that particular thing, right? So I was like, well, in that moment I couldn't really sit in that moment. I had to keep going. So I just prayed for I prayed for, so my husband's aunt is in the hospital, and it just so happened that my daughter, I told you with this last minute mess, my daughter was she needed something for school that next day. And so I was like leaving to go be a good mom and bring it to her. And on my way, I seen my aunt, who is my husband's aunt. I seen an ambulance outside her house. And I was like,
Mm,
something told me, let me pull over, because I don't
mm,
know if they coming out of her house.
right.
And lo and behold, they was coming out of her house.
Wow.
So I was like, I had to go and get and take the supply, go get the supplies and take the Ava. But I talked to his cousin, and then I was like, okay, well then, just give me an update. And I prayed for her, on my way to the store. And it was like, then so I told my, I was like, that's something that's like, it's bothersome because like he doesn't have a lot of elders in his family. She's one of the main elders. But it was like I couldn't really like, be sad in that moment for her, not doing,
Mhm.
she's doing okay, but not so much. So it was like, okay, I gotta move on to I gotta go shop right now.
Yes.
Like it was like all within minutes. But I prayed for her, and that's what she was like, that's a good tool. Like you're not
Yeah.
even acknowledging like that. That's a tool that you're
Yes.
utilizing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mhm.
the prayer. And I'm like, yeah, I'm praying for her. She's still in the hospital, and I told her, I'm praying. But it's like that's all I could do. I
Yeah.
don't have a
Sometimes that is all you could do.
that's all you can
Yes.
Sometimes that
do.
is all you can
Yes.
do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but like I said, in that moment, I understood. I said, "Oh, this is why I had to come this way," because some people, I don't think we would have known. I don't think that we would have known
Mm,
that she was going to the hospital. All that. I
right.
don't think it would have been told to us. And this is my
Mm-hmm.
mother-in-law's aunt. You know what I mean? So I don't
Yeah.
think. But it was like, and that's what my husband said when he spoke to his mother. He was like, she was like, that was meant for her. It was meant for her to go by there and see that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
way I'm getting like updates, because I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have gotten updates if
Yeah.
I didn't see it. But again, like I said,
Listen.
something just told me to pull over. Like I literally
Yeah.
could have kept going. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Mhm.
wait a minute, the ambulance and it's row houses, so you really don't know who house they outside of. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me pull over. And I was on the phone with my husband when it happened. When all this is happening, I'm on the phone with my husband. I'm like, let me pull over because I need to see what's going on.
Wow.
Crazy. Wow.
Yeah. Prayer always works, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, if you can't do anything else, pray. And
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, I just like CoCo said, it's like when you see God's work, when you see things and you see people who it's nothing but God. Like,
Yeah.
so
Listen.
it's like,
I am a God.
Yes.
He worked miracles over here. Listen,
Yeah,
Amen.
she
so
got us going overtime. But
Oh,
I'm sorry. But listen, we not there overtime. We'll be fine.
yeah,
But we just wanted to this is the topic that we always talk about amongst ourselves.
mm-hmm.
So
right.
we wanted to give some insight on,
Yeah.
what we
Yeah,
feel, how we feel.
right. And I do think that, a lot of people have a misconception of like their personal relationship with God. And that literally has nothing to do with religion. It literally has nothing to do with like what your faith is. I have friends that's Muslim, and like when we had the finance Muslima on here, she was basically
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
saying like one of the things that I do advise you to do is
Have a
to have a
relationship with
relationship with
God.
your Lord. So it's
Hmm.
like, like whomever you see as the ruler of the universe,
Hmm.
Yes. Yes.
you know,
Yes.
it's important to be
It
in
is.
alignment with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have that
Yes.
belief, and it's
Mm-hmm.
important. It can keep you grounded. And when you are at your lowest, because we all ain't gonna be good every day. We,
Mm-mm.
No.
we and
Mm-mm.
it's gonna be scenarios that happen that are out of your control.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
when that happens, when it's out of your control, honey, you you don't have any choice but to like, ask God for guidance. Like,
Yes.
You can
help
either
me
go
do this.
crazy or ask God to help you. And now is
Yeah.
Yes.
not the time to be going crazy. Cause
Nope. Nope.
listen,
Yeah.
so we are going to end our episode like we always do with our game that we like to play with our guests. Even though Coco, she's not really a guest. This her
She is a
Right?
second
guest.
time here. This her
Ain't
home.
nobody.
She
CoCo
at
is one of
home.
our biggest
Supporters.
listeners.
Yes.
Yes.
She
Y'all my
is.
girls. Y'all my girls.
Yes.
Um, so we're gonna do, the category is and this week the category is the mom edition. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So let me know when you're ready.
I mean, I'm ready, sis.
Okay. Curl up with a good book or catch up on a new show.
Curl up with a good book.
Take your kid trick or treating or stay home and hand out treats.
Take my kid trick or treating.
Give a birthday party or take your child on a birthday trip.
Give a birthday party.
I thought you were saying trip.
I thought you was going to say a trip too,
Well,
because y'all
I done
love a
had
good
10
trip.
parties. I want to say trip, but the little party animal I have. Okay, I'm like,
Oh,
wait a
this is
minute.
what you want.
She's
This
an
is what you want.
Aries.
Oh, this is what
She's
I
a
want.
Yeah, but
she
this is
Aries.
what you want. Yeah, this is not what
Oh,
really's going to happen. This is what you would prefer.
oh, take a trip, girl. Stop
Oh
playing.
yeah, what you would prefer. I thought I was
Yes, take
like,
a trip,
what?
child.
Spend Mother's Day with your children or go with your friend. Go out with your
Go,
friends.
yeah, go with my friends for sure. Absolutely. Hmm.
That's hilarious. Movie night at the theater or purchase a rental at home.
Hmm. I would say purchase a rental at home. Hmm.
All right, podcasting headphones while cleaning or music blasting on the speakers while cleaning.
Music blasting. I take you ladies on the road. You ladies are in the car with
Oh.
me.
All right. Online curb pickup or in-store shopping.
Ooh, in-store shopping if it's my choice.
Yuck.
Really?
Yes,
Gosh. I
I
mean,
do.
I get that because sometimes certain things I like to pick it out
It's
Yeah.
myself. I'm
therapeutic
picky.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Oh
it
yeah.
is. It is.
Yeah,
It
that's true.
definitely is.
But
If I
I'm gonna
had the
be
time.
some.
But see, I
You
don't
have the
have the time.
time.
So it's the online. That's not really
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
I'm
Sometimes I
choosing.
need to be in and out.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I still like to shop though. I still like to go
yeah,
to the store, come back with my
Yeah.
bags.
I
yeah.
like to. I mean, I like to shop by myself, but I haven't even had that opportunity in
Well,
God knows
that's
how
what we
long.
talk. This is
That's
our
what happens when
fantasy.
you have kids. You
Yeah,
can't. It's
you can't
over,
do
sis.
nothing.
It's over.
Yuck.
Nothing's the same ever.
No. So Coco, give everybody your social media information where they
Well,
can
I
find you
am
at.
at on Instagram. I'm only on Instagram. I ain't in that many places. And I am at CoKe_ANA. That's me on IG, and I'm nowhere else.
Shut up. I'm
I'm
nowhere
not
else.
anywhere
You
else.
on Facebook?
Oh, I am on Facebook. Coquina woke up. Coquina woke up. Yes.
Listen, that you don't really social media is.
Mm-mm.
A lot.
I
They got
don't got the
threads
TikTok.
now and all this stuff. You could put your
Yeah,
status on your story. I'm just like, come on now.
it's
Why?
a lot. It's a lot. I just put my little pictures up or my little memes or whatever, child. That's all
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm basic over here.
Yes.
All right. So we appreciate you for coming
Thank
on
you,
and being one of
ladies.
our top listeners and supporters. We
Yes.
Yes.
greatly appreciate
And I
that.
appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Remember that we are on 216 The Blend every
Yes.
Wednesday at 1 a.m., 9 a.m., and again at 9 p.m.
9 p.m.
We are also now on YouTube. Check us out on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube.
Yes.
Subscribe to YouTube and share it with a friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
A share goes a
and
long way, you guys.
it does.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yes.
thank you to all of the people who have already subscribed. Thank you for the feedback that we got so far for season 8. And
Yep.
we just appreciate all the support. If you ever need to find where we are on any platform, you can always tap the link in our bio. So we
Right.
appreciate y'all and we will catch you guys next week. Peace out.
Peace out.
Hold up. Don't leave yet. Thanks for listening to my mom and auntie. Make sure you guys follow them on Instagram at the underscore John underscore podcast. On Twitter at W underscore the J. On TikTok at the John A podcast. And visit our website www.johnpod.net. Don't forget to ask the Jaw, sending your listening letters to thejohnpod@gmail.com. Period.
This is the JAWN, a podcast. I love y'all. Be forward.